Cambridge Street in Cambridge, 02141. The new year is opening with a long-awaited closing in Belchertown. After a nearly 20-year court battle, the Belchertown State School was permanently shut down today. Tonight, Kathy Kalman tells us the closing marks the end of a turbulent era.
By locking the front door of the Belchertown State School, mental health officials closed the door on the school's rocky history. It was a day of celebration for former residents who remember the conditions at Belchertown back in the 70s. Ruth Sankiewicz-Mercer spent 16 years at the facility. She shared her recollections with the help of her voice-activated computer.
I think back to the years I spent here. I feel both sad and angry. I am sad about the many years of living which were wasted lying around in the infirmary.
Conditions were so poor that a federal lawsuit ensued.
Even the judge who saw it called it a pig pen, and he called it a warehouse.
Dr. Benjamin Ritchie was so incensed by the conditions his son was subjected to that he took the school to court. The landmark case resulted in sweeping reforms which included an emphasis on deinstitutionalization.
I knew that as a citizen, and having been in the Second War and all this stuff, all this flag waving stuff, that I had a role to play. And I didn't want to be stopped at every time by some bureaucrat saying this and that. So I thought, you know, if it's we the people, in fact, then I am one of the people they're talking about.
The Belchertown State School began phasing down in 1989. Over the past 3 years, the school's 270 residents have been placed in home-like settings like this one. For many, these community homes offer residents their first shot at independent living.
What's extraordinary is that what we're giving people is not extraordinary opportunities, they're just typical opportunities.
After living in large wards, the former Belchertown residents finally have their own room and a place to call home.
The self-esteem is in themselves now. It's really being brought out. We see different personalities in these people since they left the state school.
And while community homes are viewed as a hard-fought victory, advocates for the mentally retarded say they won't rest until the doors on all institutions are locked forever. In Belchertown, Kathy Kalman, Channel 56, the news at 10.
A very special house in Springfield wasn't shut down but torn down, and city fathers are promising to unleash their legal arsenal against the homeowner. The city's Historic Commission today voted unanimously.
It was horrible in those days.
Patty Summers is one of many former Belchertown State School residents who came to see a dream come true, the school's official closing. She was placed here when she was 9 years old, and she remembers, perhaps all too well, the poor conditions she lived in and the abuse she suffered.
If we didn't eat our breakfast in the morning, we would have to eat it in the afternoon with our bread and our food and everything, much like.
But those days are long gone for Patty and countless other mentally disabled people who once lived in this, what might easily be termed a house of hell. And it was parents who 20 years ago made this day possible. In 1972, a group of parents filed a federal suit over the conditions in which their children lived. The school had become the first mental institution in the country to be the subject of a federal lawsuit, and it set a trend for federal court intervention into the daily operations of mental schools throughout the United States. Ben Ritchie led the group that filed the initial lawsuit.
There was garbage that was presented for food. There were no toilet seats on the toilets. There was a wholesale violation of federal, or rather civil rights and protection of the Constitution, the 1st, 5th, 8th, 13th, 14th Amendments. Wholesale degradation. These people didn't exist.
The closing of Belchertown State School is a major step in the direction of better treatment of persons with disabilities, but it's not the final step. The final step is closing all of the doors and throwing away the keys.
This is the first school of its kind to be closed in the history of the state, and officials are mapping out plans to close 2 more. When the announcement that this school would be closed came in 1989, 270 of its residents moved out of this environment of dependency to community-based programs where they now live and function in their own communities.
They have access to a lot more out here. They got more one-to-one individual attention out here also. They can cook, they can clean. They didn't have access to any of that at the state school when they were there.
Debbie Dunbar cares for former Belchertown residents who now live in one of some 350 homes in western Massachusetts, just like this one. The program allows people with disabilities to function as productive citizens.
What we've done is worked very closely with local communities, community leaders, to help educate the community and have the community educate us about the important issues. What's been phenomenal out here in western Massachusetts is everywhere we've gone to work with local elected officials and community leaders, they've been helpful.
And that community help has meant a world of hope to former residents and their parents.
We're going to triple our efforts to let Governor Wells know he's in a tight ball game. And we've got all the fastball pitchers at 95-mile-an-hour pitches, and we're not letting him off the hook, period.
And for Patty Summers, who once felt embarrassed to even go to a community store, life is just beginning.
So what's life like for you now?
It's a whole new world. I'm free.
Warren Savage, New England Cable News, Belchertown, Massachusetts.
You do understand that there are a couple of commissioners, officials at the State Department of Mental Health.
Judge who first inspected the system in the 1970s and found it to be mismanaged now says that the state has corrected its problems. Eyewitness News reporter Uma Pimaraju says that the Judge Joseph Toro today officially turned the system back over to Bay State hands.
Massachusetts now has a system of care and habilitation that is probably second to none anywhere in the world.
It was a special moment in this courtroom as many gathered to witness the end of an era that saw a federal judge determined to overhaul a failed system and fight for those who had nowhere else to turn.
The retarded have no potent political constituency. They must rely on the goodwill of those of us more fortunate than they and the Constitution, which controls the manner in which all of us must meet our varied responsibilities.
For the past 20 years, Judge Joseph Toro has tirelessly worked as a guardian for the mentally retarded. For years, he's been on a relentless mission, taking aim at state schools that left the mentally retarded to exist in horrific and deplorable conditions. It was so bad that the judge had the federal court step in to run a system in shambles.
Done.
Okay, thank you, Ronald.
And now, 2 decades later, Judge Toro believes the state is finally ready to take control of the services needed to help the mentally retarded. Today, he formally ended the federal court's involvement. Governor Wells was there to sign an executive order creating a citizens commission aimed at monitoring the care. Parents of the mentally retarded children who first filed suit against the state for better services say that Judge Toro has been an inspiration.
The judge made it all possible. He was the conscience of the Commonwealth for 20 years, literally the conscience of the Commonwealth. As far as I'm concerned, Judge Toro was the good Samaritan for the mentally retarded.
He's left such a legacy that it's just impossible to put into words, you know, that the whole system, mental retardation system of people, no matter where they live, are being treated in a humane fashion and as human beings.
Judge Toro says it's been a long journey, but he hopes he's made a difference.
I know that I've done my best for them, and working with them and working with so many others, it's clear that things certainly are a lot better today than they were 20 years ago.
And as the courts step aside, ushering in a new era, it's clear that Judge Toro's legacy will continue to be a guiding force for those who work to improve the quality of life and protect the rights of the state's mentally retarded citizens. Uma Pimaraju, TV4 Eyewitness News.
Judge Toro's order also...
Remember that these people are vulnerable people, and we must make it our business to make sure that we never go back to the way it was. There can't be a better motivation for all of us here to be sure that people are treated with dignity and compassion.
68-year-old Francis Kelly has lived by those words most of his life, especially the last 16 years spent here as superintendent of the Rentham State School.
It's a labor of love, as far as I'm concerned. Anita, how are you? God bless you. It's almost like that television ad that says, it's going to get you. Well, it got me. And this field has a tendency to do that. I mean, the people that we care about, retarded people, are very delightful people, and they're very appreciative people.
Kelly takes a walk around the school grounds he's taken many times. Only this time it's to say goodbye.
Well, I'm going to miss you.
Yeah.
But you're going to come and see me?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. All right, Robert. I want to hear good. But I want to hear good reports about you too. Okay. Okay.
While Rentham staff and residents are sad to see Kelly leave, they're grateful for his contribution to the school, making it one of the leading mental retardation facilities in the country.
You can't leave a place like Rentham State School without having mixed feelings, and I certainly have mixed feelings. All right, Ed. That's the way to do it.
Leaving Rentham will not end Kelly's contributions. He plans to continue his advocacy for the mentally retarded.
There you go, Ed. All right. Hey, give me 5. All right.
He is a special man, and while in retirement, Francis Kelly plans to work with high school and college students, getting them interested in careers in the field of mental retardation and development disabilities. If you know a hero, please write to me in care of WBZ, 1170 Soldiers Field Road, Boston, 02.
Great story.
Great man.
We are